Alright guys, we're going to talk some tactics today, obviously as the title of the video says. We're going to do some Sisters of Battle tactics. Not really found any decent tactics on YouTube, maybe I'm not looking in the right place. You tell me guys, so I figured that put together a bit of a tactical video here. It's probably going to be quite a few parts, maybe 3-4 parts once I've finished, so bear with me guys, you know, it should be okay, probably learn something along the way. Reason I'm doing Sisters, I've taken them to the summer Throne of Skulls in July. Those of you that are going to be there, yeah, you'll see me there. It's 21st and 22nd of July, the third Saturday and Sunday, I think. Borrowed the army off a friend because I don't have a Sisters army, but I've been looking through the Codex and seen the models, seen them played, and I really just like the way they played, and I thought I want to play Sisters army. I know my buddy's got a Sisters army, I'll see if he'll let me borrow it, and he was kind enough to let me do so. So, I've been playing Sisters, had about 10 games with them now. Not a lot, but I think I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of the intricacies of the army and how it plays well, you know, what to watch out for, when to be aggressive, when not to be, these sorts of things. And it's, you know, it's sort of the whole play testing thing that obviously gets you to learn an army quicker. To be honest, I mean, reading the Codex will only get you so far. You have to physically get the army and play it to learn it, in my opinion. So anyway, that's enough of sort of the intro into this whole thing. We're just going to jump straight in. We're going to go through the Codex. It's obviously a White Dwarf Codex. For those that didn't know, Sisters now have a White Dwarf update. They don't have an official Codex as of yet. What I'm going to plan on doing is scan all these pages, put them together into a file. Whether that is cool or not, I don't know. Or what I could do is rip the pages out. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It's just so I'd have to keep flicking back and forth between the two White Dwarfs, that's all. So, we'll start the army special rules. Good place to start. I'll give a whole Codex run through, what I think of the army in itself, and then we'll start talking about some more tactical approaches afterwards. So we'll go through, you know, sort of unit by unit, and as I go through the Codex, we'll see where we end up. So army special rules. Obviously, Sisters of Battle revolve around this whole thing of faith and believing in the Emperor's protection. That's the whole fluff, is they sacrifice themselves for the Emperor, and when a sister dies, it only drives on the other sisters to greater feats of heroism. So obviously, this is covered in faith points. This is the main army special rule that makes the army different from any other army in the 40k universe. Faith points is basically, you get d6 at the start of the turn, and each unit has an act of faith that it can perform, which requires you to sacrifice one of your faith points in order to attempt your act of faith. Now, acts of faith differ between unit to unit. For an example, we've got the Canoness here on the first page. Her act of faith is used in the assault phase. If successful, the Canoness and her unit receive +1 initiative and a preferred enemy special rule until the end of the assault phase. That's not bad. There are some modifiers to faith point. This is how you roll to a faith point. What you need to do is you need to roll at least a 5. So on 1d6, on a roll of a 5+, then you get your act of faith off successfully, and you receive the benefit from the act of faith. Now 5+ is not great, but if there's a sister superior, she's basically a sergeant, or a knob, or you know, some other equivalent, you know, the squad leader, you get +1. So essentially, it's a 4+. It's a 4+ roll, really, because every squad comes with like a squad leader anyway, so you don't have to pay any extra to get that ability. Although it obviously makes a difference if you lose the squad leader at some point during a battle. You get another +1 if there is an independent character that has joined the unit. The list of independent characters gives us a Canoness, an ecclesiastical confessor, Saint Celestine, Uriah Jacobus, or Archconfessor Kirinov. If either one of them is joined in the squad, they also get a further +1, so they'd be at 3+. And if the unit has taken a casualty, they get another +1. So potentially you can get your Axe of Faith off on a 2+, which is great. So that's sort of the Axe of Faith, very basically. You get D6 of a turn, and each unit has a different Axe of Faith they can attempt, and each unit can only attempt it once. If they fail, you can't do it again. It doesn't mention anywhere in the Codex that you can't, and I questioned that obviously when I initially started playing, looked in the FAQ, and you can't. If you fail it, that's it, you've lost a faith point, the unit can't do it again. Which seems fair, because when we get into the Axe of Faith, into army specific units, there are one or two that are really broken, really horrible, and if you could just spam them until you got it off, it really would be horrendous for the army. So the fact that if it's a fail, it's a fail, works quite well. Moving on, so we've got a section here about independent characters and Axe of Faith, but all that really means is, if an independent character has joined a unit, and you want to use the independent character's Axe of Faith and the unit's Axe of Faith, you have to test for them separately. That's all it means. Probably the best thing in the book, one of them, there's many, but this is one of them, Shield of Faith. Every single model, vehicle, unit in this Codex has a 6+ invulnerable save. I think it is every single thing. I'm just going to double check. Everything apart from the battle conclave, which we'll get to in a second, which is brilliant, because even though 6+ doesn't seem a lot, if you think of all the times in a battle when you take power weapon wounds, when you take missiles, las cannons, stopping 1 in 6 is great, and especially on your vehicles as well. The amount of times I've saved an exorcist or an immolator or a rhino is brilliant. Never underestimate that 6+ invulnerable. Never forget it. I forget to roll it quite a lot, and my opponent has to remind me, kind enough to do so. So always try and remember you get that 6+ invulnerable on everything. It's easy when you come up with Terminators and they've got Thunder Hammers and they wound you 3 times, just drop 3 guys and put them back in the case. But your 3 dice, you could save one of them. Okay, so we'll start looking at some units now. First unit, or we'll say character, to come up is the Canoness. Now, I'm just going to change to the white roll quite quickly, guys, because this one has the points values in, and I know pretty much what everything does now, so I don't need points values will be more useful for me. Right, so we've got the Canoness. Canoness, fairly cheap. If you're going for sort of a spam army, I'd recommend taking a Canoness just because she's so cheap. You get leadership 10 on the board. She's also stubborn, which is a nice addition. If you put in a unit, that unit becomes stubborn. Use her stubborn leadership 10. The only problem is Canoness's options. She's really heavily geared towards combat. Now, as a rule of thumb, sisters do not want to be in combat. We're a short to medium range army, but you do not want to be in combat. Got power armor, yes, but you've only got, your guarding power armor is what I call them. Low toughness, you're going to take so many wounds. Low strength, you can't do much damage back. You're just going to get shredded in combat. Excuse me, guys. So to have a HQ unit option that's geared for combat really doesn't fit well with the sisters, I'm afraid. So the Canoness isn't really the greatest of options you can take. She's got some nice options. I mean, she has a bolt gun, bolt pistol. She can take a chainsaw, a stone bolter, power weapon, combi weapon, a condemner bolt gun, a plasma pistol, infernal pistol. The Eviscerate is quite nice. You can give her a 4+ invulnerable save. You can take melter bombs. But as you can see, most of the options are close combat orientated, and close combat is just somewhere you do not want to be with anything other than the next unit I'm going to talk about, which is Saint Celestine. That happens to be here, top of the page. Saint Celestine is an absolute monster. Just have a quick look at that stat line. She is horrible. She's got a great stat line, initiative 7. She's going before pretty much anything in the game. 6 attacks on charge, weapon skill 7, so she's hitting on 3s most of the time. Got a 2 up armor save, 4+ invulnerable, frag and crack grenade, a jump pack. You know, the list goes on. She's got the ardent blade, which always lets her wound on a 4+, and is a heavy flamer. But that's not even the best thing about it. The best thing about it is she's fearless, and she gets back up at the start of every turn. Which of course, you guys probably know that from people whinging on about it. She's 115 points, and if you kill her at the start of every subsequent turn, not just once, every subsequent turn after she dies, she gets back up on a roll of a 4+ with D3 wounds. Makes her fantastic for objective games, because you just fly her, sit her on your opponent's objective the entire game, and you can guarantee that turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, she'll stand up and test that objective for you and probably win you the game, or salvage a draw if you've not done that great. In my opinion, no Sisters army should go onto the tabletop without Saint Celestine. That's my opinion. She is the most useful unit entry in the book, just because of the sheer annoyance factor that she offers you. And she's actually really good. I mean, I've used her before to jump in and hit characters. Normally you want to hit the squad, thin them down, if you're taking casualties back. But Saint Celestine, jump in, put all your attacks against, say, the librarian or the chaplain or the archon, and just pound it and hopefully kill it. And it doesn't matter if she dies back, because she'll ever get up next turn anyway, so it's a no-loss strategy. She's great for hit and run tactics, brilliant with the Saint. But again, we'll get more into the actual tactical talk in later parts of this little mini-series. Then we've got the Sororita's Command Squad, 115 points, she's standard command squad that you get in any Marine Codex. Again, stay away from them, because the points in them are more sort of, how can I say this, geared towards taking close combat, although they can take 4 melter guns, or everyone can swap out for a melter gun, so that's pretty good. So you can get like 3 melter gun shots in there, but again, there's cheaper ways of doing that in the army, and we'll come back to that in due measure. But again, pretty much regular command squad. You've got your apothecary, you've got chapter banner, things like that. Not much really to say about them. Let's just see what their act of faith is, because in the interest of doing things in detail, let's do this properly. So the act of faith is used in the movement phase. If successful, the unit gains the relentless and move through cover special rules until the end of the turn. Now that's quite good, because this unit can take multi-melters or heavy bolters. And having relentless heavy bolters or relentless multi-melters can come in very handy. So that's just quite a good squad. They're just not cheap, and they're very fragile. So even though you can get that relentless rule, I really would stay away from it. So moving onwards, we've got the ecclesiarchy confessors and the priests. I'm going to do these all in one section, because they're all pretty much the same. This is including the special characters Uriah Jacobus and Archconfessor Kirinov. Basically, these are the chaplains of the sisters. They give very similar special abilities called Righteous Rage, which lets you reroll to hit on the charge. Exactly like a chaplain's Litanies of Hate or Litanies of Blood or whatever it is in respective codices. That's really all they offer you in terms of universally special rules. The independent characters, we'll look at Kirinov and Jacobus now. Jacobus is probably going to be earmarked as my other must-take unit, right up there with the Saint, because he lets you reroll your d6 faith points at the start of the turn, which you talked about. Separates you from other armies. You roll 2. Sometimes you need at least 5 faith points, so getting that reroll in is fantastic for Jacobus. And he's also stubborn, like a Canoness, so you put him in a unit, and that unit's very rarely going to run away. He has a 4 up vulnerable save. The best thing about Uriah Jacobus is Banner of Sanctity. Whatever unit he's in gets +1 attack in combat and feel no pain, which is brilliant. Again, we'll get on to how you can use this tactically later on, but for now, just that's what he has. The other special character of this type, of this ecclesiarchal type, is Archconfessor Kirinov. Same points, 90 points, same as Uriah Jacobus. Very much similar, apart from he's, again, more geared for combat. He has a power weapon. He has a Lord Hailer, which lets you, if you pass an act of faith on a roll of 6, you get a faith point back. But again, for the incurring the points cost of that isn't very good, because it's not, you're rarely going to get the dividends from paying the points cost for it. He has, his power weapon is pretty cool. If it hits you, you're initiative 1 in the next assault phase, and he lets you reroll acts of faith attempts, which is pretty cool. But again, combat characters that are toughness 3, strength 3 don't wash in competitive terms with me. So really, if you're going to take one of these, take Jacobus just for his unit buffing ability and the rerolls to your faith points. He's infinitely worth it, trust me. Okay, so moving on. Sort of another mini command squad unit type here. We have the Cerritos for the Canoness. The Ecclesiarchy Confessors get what's called Battle Conclave. Now, those of you that play Grey Knights will know these as your Acolytes and your Difficult Assassins types. The Battle Conclave is a horrifyingly great unit on paper. I've used them before. It's like a 9-man squad, 5 Crusaders, 4 Difficult Assassins and Uriah Jacobs. The unit is nails. I've got Feel No Pain, 3 of them Vulnerables, 20 power weapon attacks on the charge at initiative 6, rerolling to hit. It's a brutal unit. The problem is no assault vehicles. If Sisters could get a Land Raider, this would be horrible. But I found trying to get them out of a Rhino is very difficult, because your opponent will pound their transport with everything they've got because they're scared of them, which is fair enough. It's what I do. So while they're brilliant on paper, actually using them on the tabletop, it's not really ideal. It's very hard to get them where you want them to be, and I found them in several games just massively underperforming, and there's better choices to take in the book. So moving on. Excuse me. Celestians. Now Celestians are your veterans. Slightly better than your standard Battle Sisters. Pretty much the same stat line, except they have the standard +1 leadership, +1 attack, and +1 weapon skill, which is interesting because no Battle Sister only weapon skill 3, where your Celestians weapon skill 4. Pretty much the same. Well, the same like standard weapon options. You've got your storm bolters, heavy bolters, flamers, melters. The squad leader can take power weapon, combi weapon, melter bombs. Interestingly, they have a pretty cool act of faith. Act of faith for the Celestians is Hand of the Emperor. This act of faith is used in the assault phase. If successful, the unit gains +1 strength and the fearless special roll to the end of the phase. Now that's pretty nice, because these guys, if you want them in combat, strength 4 is really going to help. I actually found these chicks to be pretty useful against Horde armies. If you can get them up to strength 4, give them lots of flamers in that unit, they can shred orcs, they can shred Tyranids, anything with a low armor save, these chicks come in really handy. And they're a great squad, but you do kind of pay the price for them, so I'd rather take regular Battle Sisters. The price difference is you don't benefit enough for the price difference, if you sort of get what I'm saying there, guys. I'm going to do the last unit in the elite section for this part of the video, and then we'll move on. This video's not too long, you're probably getting bored as it is, so thanks for sticking out if you've got this far. So the last elite unit is the Repentia squad. Now, when I first looked at the Repentias, I really didn't see the point in them. Again, they're a combat unit. They have an eviscerator, which is pretty much a power fist. But again, they're only used to 3, and it's a unit full. The whole unit has to take power fists. So when I was looking at it and reading, I was thinking, well, they're all just going to die because they've got no armor. There's nothing to keep them alive, and all they're going to do is just going to get smashed off the board before they get to attack, and you've wasted your points on a unit. Until I looked at the Act of Faith that these chicks can take. A quick look at the special rules first. Sorry to jump ahead. They have Acts of Faith, Fearless, which is nice, Feel No Pain, Fleet, Rage, and Shield of Faith. So they're a lot like the Sisters version of Death Company, to put a comparison out there. But let me read the Acts of Faith. This will be interesting for you guys. This Act of Faith is used in the assault phase. If successful, do not remove any models in the unit if they are killed before they have attacked. Instead, place them on their side. After all models involved in the assault have made their attacks, any mortally injured model placed on its side gets to make a single attack. After these attacks have been made, any models on their side are removed as casualties. Now, that may think, well, they're all going to die anyway. But if you've got a power fist and you kill the entire unit, you're still going to take 10 power fist attacks back. And if you can get one of the ecclesiastical priests in there to re-roll those attacks, starts looking pretty nice. And that's what sort of, changed my opinion on them a little bit. And you've got the Mistress of Repentance in there, which is the squad leader, and she's got 2 Neuro Whips, which are strength 8, I believe, and hit you against your leadership rather than your toughness. So she's pretty cool as well. So it's an interesting unit. Still yet to find a good balance to use them properly, but they have interesting possibilities, and I'd like to maybe test them out, see how they work in certain situations. And it'd be great to say throw at monstrous creatures and just know the unit's going to get killed, but they get to batter them back anyway. So that's sort of the HQ and elite sections covered, guys. I'm going to stop this video now and I'll come back with the troops. Okay guys, peace out. Back in a second.